The Unitarians are the ones who have convinced me of this. That if I'm not joking, the Unitarians are the ones who have convinced me of this. If you don't,
they're like, we're gonna have to change our marketing strategy.
Yeah, exactly. If you believe that, either the scriptures teach that Yeshua is Yod He Vav He in the flesh, or the scriptures are wrong, and we have to throw out the New Testament, and we have to throw out Yeshua. One of those, it's one of those two. There's
explain it. Can you give some examples of how the Unitarians actually?
Well, I mean, just all of their explanations of Scripture. They are dancing around. They're not being honest with Scripture. John 8:58 is a perfect example of this. That they cannot explain I am, or the Philippians 2, when it says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Yeshua is Lord, right? That He is Kurios. The Unitarians, they have no good response to this, so they make up all this stuff that totally negates all of the language and all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to force puzzle pieces where they can't go. And so if we just read the text, we have to look at it and say Yeshua is clearly Yod He Vav He. And so you have to either take that or leave that. Either you take it and you say,
would you say, is there a fear? Like I'm trying to identify with. It's hard for me to imagine because I don't believe it at all. It's hard. Right. I can only kind of imagine like what someone must like. Did they have a feeling that it's blasphemous to call a human God? Is that kind of a deep rooted aspect of that? Like I'm in dangerous territory. Like this is Islam, right? I mean, Islam is monotheistic religion, but there is you cannot take any man, and they put Yeshua in the any man and put him next to God.
Yeah, I think that where Unitarianism really stems from is this idea from the Tanakh, or the whatever you want to say, the Old Testament, the First Testament, is this idea that God continues to call himself one. He's not going to give his glory to anyone else, all these kind of things. And therefore, Yeshua can't be God. And then they get into New Testament texts. They have misunderstood and they have incorrectly interpreted Christ's words when he says things like the Father is greater than I and things like this. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the difficult passages and they're trying to say, oh, well, I'm going to take all these little snippets and I'm going to put them up against that instead of trying to take the scripture as a whole. The other thing that they've done is the Unitarians have totally neglected the fact that God says no one can see me and live, and yet God shows up in pre-incarnate form throughout the scriptures in the same passages where he says no one can see me and live. And so they've totally tried to weasel their way out of this seeming contradiction. And ultimately what it comes down to is we are humans. We cannot describe and understand God. He is beyond our comprehension. And so the Unitarians say, no, he has to be able to fit into my understanding. So I'm going to try to work all that out. And that's just not the way it works. And then what they'll do is they'll say things like, oh, the Trinitarians always have to rest on, well, God, it's something we can't understand. But if you read Scripture and just allow Scripture to be what it is, there's no way that you can get around the fact that Yeshua calls himself God, that Paul calls Yeshua God, that the Bible clearly states that Yeshua is God.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.